Hello and welcome to Too Long Didn't Read Dota News. For this week, I'll take you through the action of the Nanyang Championships, which has just finished, a summary of the MLG results from a couple weeks ago, the ACL Frankfurt Majors format, some new tournaments, team shuffles, and changes to the in-game client. Now first up, the Nanyang LAN Finals have been taking place in Singapore for the previous week. Qualified and invited teams who competed in the event are shown up on the screen. Now due to travel issues for Cloud9, Digital Chaos filled the Americas qualifier spot. They played with Ush as a stand-in, as Yuar was unable to get a visa in time. The first 2 days of the event were entirely dedicated to group stages. The first two teams in these group stages move on to the winners bracket, with the third and fourth place teams being seeded into the losers bracket, and then the last place team from each group gets eliminated from the tournament. So from this, Mineski and Fnatic were both eliminated. Now, into the losers bracket, it's actually best of 1 games for the first 2 rounds of the losers bracket. Up in the winners bracket, Secret and Vici looked very strong as they advanced into the winners bracket finals with 2-0 series each. Eho made a strong showing through the losers bracket, but eventually lost to Vici, who got knocked down by Secret. In that winners bracket final game, Secret and VG had a really close game 1, and then Secret kind of stumped them in game 2. But that led us to a Team Secret vs. Vici Gaming best of 5 grand finals. Now, in Game 1, it was a 50-minute game that was really close, with an Envy Doom and a Weehaw SF unable to stand up to the late game from the Alchemist and Juggernaut for Super and Burning, making Vici start off the series with 1 win. Oh, there we go. And in Game 2, Networth stayed even for half the game, and then Secret pulled forward at the 30-minute mark. The game remained close and went to a long, bloody, drawn-out 60-minute game, with Secret emerging victorious, taking the series 1-1. Now, in Game 3, Vici were very active in the early game, securing a 6-0 AA, doing their best to shut down the Pilot Eye Bounty Hunter. Eternal Envy on the Anti-Mage finished the normal sub-15-minute Battle Fury, and then instantly got a kill on FY's Ancient Apparition. From that point on, Secret had firm control of the game, securing objectives and barreling into VG's base for a sub-30-minute GG. In Game 4, we finally see the signature Weepo from Secret as their 5th pick. VG pick up an out-of-the-meta Timbersaw for Ice Ice Ice. We saw a very active early game with over a kill a minute and momentum looking pretty even on both sides. VG gets some key pickoffs and takes control bit by bit. They move into a commanding lead and force a Game 5 for a full series, something we kind of haven't seen for quite some time. Now, Slardar isn't banned for the first time in this best of 5, and we see pretty unique drafts from both teams. Secret takes a commanding lead early on, holding a massive kill lead with 2 of their cores topping the net worth. Despite the visible lead, VG plays carefully and does their best to keep the game even. They take even trades and take smart objectives, even kind of sneaking a Roche underneath Team Secret. They hang on, managing to keep the farm somewhat even. I mean, nobody can keep up with an anti-mage, but the Juggernaut does his best. However, after diving tier 4s and farming heroes eyes out of the fountain, Team Secret does walk away our Nanyang champions. This makes it their 3rd consecutive LAN finals and their 2nd win, so I think all eyes will be on Team Secret in the coming majors. Now, I know it was a little while ago and Nanyang just finished up, but I did want to give you the wrap-up from MLG that we didn't have in our previous episode. So just to remind you guys, the grand finals were Evu Geniuses versus Team Secret. Now, the most memorable moment of these grand finals may be the funniest that we've also seen in a while. The Arteezy Alchemist gets ganked and charges his stun, but then decides to TP out. Unfortunately, the self-stun in the fountain actually leads to an Arteezy suicide, and I think everyone took a moment to really appreciate it. There was a team fight shortly after where Secret completely wipes EG and then takes the game very convincingly from that point on. That team fight could have been because they won because they didn't have the Alk, or maybe because EG was a little bit distracted at that point. The series ended 3-1 for Team Secret, and they go home ESL champions for the 2nd time in a row, showing us what this new roster can really do. Now moving on to upcoming tournaments, the Majors format has been released with 4 groups in a double elimination bracket. The top 2 from each group advance to the winners bracket, with the bottom 2 from each group going into the losers bracket on the main stage, so every team will make it to the main stage. And that's all we have for Frankfurt Majors for now, but those will be starting very soon. Now, For new tournaments, StarLadder Season 13 is announced with a $300,000 prize pool. Group stages have begun in a few regions, so we'll keep you updated on that. And as for another tournament, the Dota Pit Season 4 is actually going to have a LAN Finals. It'll be taking place in March in Croatia. Now, currently VP has been directly invited, and Navi will be playing through the online qualifiers. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but from the last episode, Navi had announced that their roster disbanded. But we did get some hope, as they said, Dendi and Sunika would be building a new team. And this new team is actually Funnick, Always Wanna Fly, and Dayura joining them. So they did scare us when they announced a disband, but thankfully they showed off their new and not that different roster very shortly after the disband announcement. Now, moving on from the competitive scene, there have been some in-game changes. So Valve listened to a Reddit thread that had a pretty good idea that, say, your low priority games actually require a win for it to count for you to get out of low priority. Abandoning or GGing out actually now adds a game to your total tally. A few days after implementing this change, they also changed the mandatory mode from all random to single draft to give people a little bit of a more of a chance to get a good lineup. Now, in addition to these updates, just in time for Halloween, Valve has added Haunted Coliseum to the custom games to give us our spooky fill. While it isn't dire tied with free hats, it is a nice touch to give us some fun new game modes. And last, 6.85B is out right as Nanyang finished, so in your pubs today, remember that Doom and Broodmama received some gentle nerfs. Scorched Earth damage and heal were reduced, and the cooldown was fixed at 55 seconds. Additionally, the Ags upgrade no longer increases the Doom damage. Broodmother Spiderling Poison Sting Slow was also reduced from 12% to 8%. So that is all we have for you guys today. Thank you for watching this week's episode of TLDR. We'll see you guys next time.